have to be all or nothing all the time.
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night.
All right, welcome to the Field of 68's After Dark Thursday night edition. I'm Jeff Goodman. I'm joined by Tyler Hansbrough, the best college basketball player over the last 2 decades, and also Terrence Oglesby, who actually in a game on January 21st, 2009, actually outscored Tyler 22-20.
Hey, you know what? That we lost.
Clemson got blown out by 24 points.
Hey, that's good reporting right there, Jeff.
That's the reporter.
That's excellent research. Hey, I have that over you, T. I have that over you.
Yeah, you do. I mean, don't downplay yourself, Terrence.
Hey, I remember. You know what? What did you say? I had 22.
22.
I had 20 in the first half. Couldn't throw it in the ocean in the second half because I went to halftime thinking I was like, I might get 40 in the Dean Dome, and I'm gonna talk shit for a lifetime. Didn't happen.
Then they realized you weren't a walk-on. All right, listen.
Right.
You can listen to us every night at 11 o'clock Eastern on SiriusXM channel 84. Also, watch us in the Field of 68's YouTube channel and also on Twitter. Make sure you hit us with any questions in the YouTube chat, and we will get to them in the afters immediately after the show ends at midnight on Sirius. All right, we got plenty to get to tonight. There weren't a ton of games, but there was some good amount of action here. The mid-major darlings, FAU and Charleston, both lost. Ohio State's Chris Holtmann got run. Is Michigan back in the mix for a tourney berth? And also, we're going to give you our midseason All-American teams and also whether we agree with Micah Shrewsbury's comments about Purdue head coach Matt Painter. Houston taking a little bit of a lead here on Wichita State at Wichita with about 2.5 minutes to go. So it looks like they're going to hang on for the win. Let's start in the Big Ten, boys. I know you're both Big Ten guys coming out of the ACC, but the Big Ten was where it was at tonight. And we've got to start with Chris Holtmann in Ohio State. This is a team that has been reeling, has lost 7 of its last 8 coming into the game tonight. They lose again. Chris Holtmann gets run. They're down 10 at the end of the first half, and he gets tossed by John Higgins. How worried are we, T.O., about Chris Holtmann and his future in Columbus, Ohio?
If there's people calling for Chris Holtmann's job, they need to get their priorities straight. That guy has been terrific ever since he got there. And look, you're looking at a Big Ten. That it's a league full of old guys, and he's got the team full of young guys. And that usually doesn't turn out all that well, especially in that league. In the ACC, you can pull it off. In the SEC, you can get a lot of talent. You can pull it off. Big Ten's tough because those guys have been in those systems for 3 and 4 years now. And then he's got some of these super talented freshmen. Sometimes it stinks. And sometimes you're going to have to coach these guys up for a couple of years to keep up in the Big Ten on a game-to-game basis. That's hard. And they have been losing. Holtmann's obviously irritated, but John Higgins, I promise you he was irritated too. Because if you've seen his referee slate over the past 7 days, have you guys seen this? It's insane. I tried to find it before we got on here, but his last 6 or 7 days, he's across the country. He's done like 6 games in 7 nights. I don't know how the guy's functioning, so he can't be in a good mood. And then they're also going up against the Wisconsin team where it's like they can get under your skin. If you're worried about Chris Holtmann and you're an Ohio State fan, forget it. Stick with the man. He knows what he's doing. He's a heck of a coach.
All right. Hey, Tyler, I am going to give you John Higgins' schedule over the last week. All right. So last Saturday, he was in Palo Alto. All right. Stanford, Cal. Sunday, he was in West Lafayette, Purdue, Michigan State at Purdue. Monday, he was in Austin, Baylor at Texas. Tuesday, he was in Lawrence, Kansas, Kansas State at Kansas. Wednesday, he didn't take the day off. He hit the Valley. He did Northern Iowa against Drake in Des Moines. And then tonight, he was in Columbus, Ohio. So no days off for John Higgins. One of the best refs. I love him. I think he's terrific. But there's got to be something done because this should not be happening when the biggest games of the sport are occurring. These guys should not be working 7 of 8 days, 14 of 15, crisscrossing the country. It's ridiculous.
I agree with you, Jeff. And there's something that has to be done. And for a guy to be working that much and to expect him to get every call right or to have him on big games is inexcusable. And, the refs have taken a lot of criticism this year, and rightfully so. They've missed a lot of calls, just like players miss shots. Coaches call bad plays. I was critical of some calls last night. Part of it was with my heart a little bit. But refs make mistakes, and my only issue is the way they handle the mistakes could be done a little bit better. I think the refs from the NCAA don't take enough criticism. I think they need to be more appealing to get more officials out there to give these guys a little bit of rest. Then maybe we wouldn't be overcritical of them.
It's easy, Tyler. I have the easy answer here: a universal assigner. Instead, right now, you've got different assigners in every league. If you have one universal assigner, you know what they could do? They could at least keep everybody geographically in the same area. So they're not flying all over the country. And they can also say, hey, you know what? We're going to give a guy a day off here. He's worked 6. They don't know because they're working different leagues. So the other assigners don't know what they're working the other nights. You need a universal assigner. This isn't that difficult. They need to somehow figure it out because it will only help the sport.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The only pushback I have a little bit is conferences, to me, the Big Ten, the old school kind of pound it, beat you up inside, physical basketball, ACC athleticism up and down. Some of these ref conferences just a little bit different in my mind. And Terrence, you could say this I've always said this about Florida State. When you go down to Florida State in the ACC, they're going to beat you up. They were a big, strong, physical team. And I feel like they got the benefit of the whistle because of their identity. And, I think there needs to be a little bit more universal understanding of what a foul and, like reffing these conferences differently isn't appropriate to me. I think everything should be called the exact same.
What can we do to you? What? Go ahead.
I like the idea of a universal assigner. I think that's a big one. And then basically you get bigger conference games depending on how they have statistical analysis of right calls versus wrong calls, and they stat and do everything. I mean, referees, the guys that they're getting, they're the best in the business. Higgins is one of the best in the business. I think a universal assigner would be good. There are a lot of refs working. Like they are out there. The problem is the really good ones, the people that guys are comfortable with. I mean, they're zigzagging the country, and that's really hard on guys. And to me, if you're going to do 6 games in 7 nights, I just don't know how that's manageable to be able to do your job at a high level, especially zigzagging the country the way you do. I think a universal assigner is good. And then you can't work more than 3 or 4 games during the course of a week. And these guys' sky miles must be just out of this world. Like there is no right answer really, because the best ones, the biggest conferences are going to want those guys. And, since they're independently assigned, it's hard.
And you know what? If you talk to any coach, any of the high major guys, the top guys, they'll say still, I'd rather have one of the elite guys on their 8th game in 8 nights than some guy that's not that good, period. And that's the problem. They shouldn't have to be on their 8th game in 8 nights. All right. I think Holtman, I agree with you on Holtman. I agree that you got to be careful sometimes what you wish for. And I'll say this back to when you guys were there. I think, did you both play against Herb Sendek at NC State?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Sidney Lowe was there when I was there.
All right. So Herb was a guy that couldn't beat Carolina or Duke. So they ran him out of NC State. He went to the tournament every year, and he actually had a really good recruiting class coming in the year they basically ran him out. So they run him out of town, and they bring in Sidney Lowe, who sucked. It was a complete failure. It was awful. And then he brought in Gottfried, and, he cheated his ass off, and they ended up, winning enough games, but we know what he was doing. So he eventually, he goes to Sweet 16, he gets lucky a little bit. But the bottom line is again, sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for. And Chris Holtmann is getting him the tournament. He has every year. This year has not been good. He has not done a good job coaching this team this year, but they've got a really good recruiting class coming in next year. So I think you got to give him one more year to see what he can do. That's the biggest thing for me in Ohio State and Chris Holtmann is.
Are there people calling for Chris's job?
What's that?
Are there people calling for Chris's job?
Yeah. Look at my Twitter feed.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Man, there's a lot of people that would love that kind of consistency.
And if I'm Chris Holtmann, you know what I might do? Try to go get Notre Dame. It fits him. You get a new lease on life. Maybe people appreciate him there. And I think he fits. All right, the other game.
He's been savvy about jobs too. Remember, he was a head coach at Gardner Webb, left Gardner Webb to be the assistant at Butler, and then gets, was it Butler? Yeah, and then gets the Butler, and then gets. I mean, he's been savvy about jobs. I wouldn't be shocked to see something like that happen.
To me, this is a bad loss. This is a real bad loss, and I understand why people are frustrated. Wisconsin went 1-7 in January. The struggling team. This isn't like a tournament team, quad one, and you could see the frustration when he did get ejected. Bryce Sensabaugh, to me, is a very talented player, young kid. So I think they have the talent. I think if you look at the box score, I think they turned the ball over, and that's a sign to me. You've got to get control of your team and better coaching. Turnovers lose games. But, I don't really know, but I understand why fans are frustrated for sure.
All right, that was Tyler Hansbrough. You're listening to Field of 68's After Dark. I'm Jeff Goodman, also here with Terrence Oglesby. And we're talking a little Big Ten to start the show off tonight. Ohio State loses a tough one. Wisconsin gets one that they needed. Another team that gets a big win, the Michigan Wolverines. They pull off a win at Northwestern to kind of keep their tournament hopes alive. What are the odds, Tyler, that Michigan, we see Hunter Dickinson in the NCAA tournament this year?
Not good. I don't think their team's really gelling. And when I look at their team, even though they are turning a little corner and, they beat Northwestern, to me, Northwestern isn't like you don't hang your season on that win. I think Hunter's a great player, and I think he does a really good job when he takes his time and really establishes himself down low in the post. He is a good passer, and they really kind of go as he does, and I think they run things through him because, he can find the open score. I mean, he's good out of doubles. When he takes his time, he can score. But to me, I don't think Michigan has the quality wins or they've hit a lot of rough streaks this year. I don't see him making it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But today, it at least kept them alive because Northwestern, for what it's worth, they have been good this year compared to recent history. Going into this game, they were second in the league. And I'm not saying that's going to stay that way, but at the same time, like Michigan talent-wise were superior to Northwestern. Now, that all being said, when you look at this Michigan team, I know they won today and they guarded today. You hold anybody to 51 points. That helps things, right? And Chase Audige, who I'm a big fan of, going, what was it, 0 for 7 from 3? But it hurts. It hurts. When you're playing a Michigan team, you got to be able to shoot over the top because that big fella's down there. But it's a Michigan team where it's hard to put your finger on it. And it's like Hunter's there with a bunch of guys that you can't really decide if it's not that they don't like each other. It's just the puzzle pieces don't fit. Like Jet Howard's a bucket, but he's only a bucket. He's not doing much of anything else. And he's not cutting off the ball. He's not exactly playing off the ball because he needs it in his hands in order to score. So, and then you have some non-shooters and some good athletes that were highly touted kids, but the pieces just don't fit. It's a hard thing to go through when you're a Michigan fan and you get all these highly touted recruits, but they just don't mix and match and they don't play well together. That's a hard pill to swallow.
No, I think you're right. I think you could be looking down the road at Michigan and Northwestern both being NIT teams. When we come back next on Field of 68's After Dark, one coach that will not be coaching the NIT team, Creighton's Greg McDermott. He'll tell you why they've made a huge, huge turnaround the last couple of weeks.
You clear?
Big time tease right there, Goodman. Big time tease.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, Goodman. That was good.
All right.
All right, first question for you guys.
Let me go back and find who said it. Jesse Goodman wants to know your take on Texas A&M.
They haven't played anybody. They just don't beat anybody. And honestly, they're going to get right in the bubble again, and they're not going to get in, even with a really good SEC record, because they don't play anybody in the non-conference. And Buzz should have learned his lesson last year, and he didn't. And to be honest, you got nobody to blame but yourself when you get to the NIT again.
I don't know, Jeff. They're 7-2 in league now.
Who have they beaten?
They got an Auburn win. Florida.
What else they got?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's it. That's
Nobody.
it.
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
Got to play somebody. In the non-conference, you got to play somebody. And they haven't 3 years in a row now. So, like, come on, man. And don't get up there when you don't get in and read that 10-page letter or whatever you read last year.
30 seconds.
Go away. Go away. Go to NIT. Go to New York. And
I'm also
play
interrupting.
somebody next.
McDermott is here, so I'm bringing him in. You guys can start the next segment with him on.
All right. How much time we got before the
17 seconds.
Got perfect.
10.
There he is. You're live. You're live, Mr. McDermott.
5 seconds.
So
Here we go.
always
3,
be careful what you
2,
say.
2.
All right, welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. And we will not waste any time before we get to our next guest. It is none other than Creighton head coach Greg McDermott. Mac, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You look relaxed.
Little late for us old guys.
Hey, I was told you picked the time a little bit here. You wanted the late night interview, so I'm impressed you are awake.
No.
I had a good meal tonight. It wasn't the Drover. All right. It was not the Drover, but I'm in Charleston. And my wife and I, it's our second to last dinner here. And we went to Hall's. Big time steak. Big time. Have you not?
Hey, Mac, I got to ask you before we get this going. Are you in a closet? Where are you at?
I'm
looking at your background here.
I have a condo downtown that when I have late night stuff and I'm going to be watching film all night, it's right across from the arena. So I just I hang here and do a lot of my work and stay out of my wife's hair.
There you go. Got a little man cave action.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Tyler?
Coach, thanks for coming on. Are we going into questions now, or?
We are.
Okay. Hey, Coach, you guys have won 5 straight now, 8 of the last 10. The big picture for you guys, how have you turned it around so quickly?
Well, I think, Tyler, number one, we got Kalkbrenner back. I don't think he was healthy when he was playing in Maui and certainly after Maui, and then we had to shut him down. And then it took him a while to get back in shape. But, he provides so much gravity on the offensive end going to the rim and the pressure, he puts on the rim and what that creates for everybody else. And then defensively, I think he's one of the best rim protectors in the country. And that allows us to take some chances defensively out there and kind of steer everything to him. And to our guys' credit, Tyler, when we were going through that, obviously in this day and age of social media, everybody thought the house was burning down on the outside. And, we just kept working and stayed process oriented, and the guys got better through that tough stretch. And I think that's paying off now.
Hey, Mac, last game, you did not have a single point from your bench against Georgetown. How the hell does that happen? How are you not getting more bench production here? I've been yelling all year, like, we need more bench production from you guys. I'm scared about that down the stretch. How worried are you?
In fairness to our bench, Jeff, we played. I probably played too difficult of a schedule. So you play the 4, bye games, and we struggle with St. Thomas a little bit out the gate, and then the bench got to play some the next 3. Then you go to Maui for 3 tough ones. You come back, you go to Texas, you play Nebraska, then you go to Vegas and play 2 tough ones, and you start conference play. So some of those young guys just didn't really get the opportunity to probably grow as much as you normally would in a more normal non-conference schedule. And they've had their moments. Frederick King has done some good things for us. Mason Miller's come off the bench, does some good things. Francisco Farabello's been rock solid. Even when he isn't scoring, he's in the right place, doing the right things. And then Sharif Mitchell is backing up the point some and giving us some minutes there. So, there's a lot of TV timeouts in this game. And, if those guys think they can go and, having said all that, I don't think any of our starting five are in the top 10 in minutes played in the Big East. So while it looks crazy, we're either if you're going to play them a bunch in the game, you have to be really careful what you do during the week in practice. And, we've been very careful with how much they're on their feet outside of game night.
Coach, you brought a guy in with a strong nucleus coming back last year. I mean, you guys set the world on fire back half of last year, and then Baylor Shireman comes into town, and it started off great. You go through a little bit of a skid. What have you seen from him during this winning streak and through this portion of Big East play that makes you think, hey, like this Creighton team's back to where we thought they were going to be?
I think he had to learn to play in our system. He had the ball in his hands a lot at South Dakota State, so he's had to learn to play without the ball and kind of, pick his spots. And we've really encouraged him to, try to get in the paint a little bit more. Go in there and try to make some things happen. You got a big body, you can score in there, you can get to the free throw line a little bit more. And then I think defensively, I think he's learned to play with Kalkbrenner. Like, I can get up, I can press up a little bit, and if I get beat, just don't foul, send it into the big guy and let him clean it up on the backside. So I think there's been a learning curve for him. What's been amazing to me, he can pass it, he can shoot it, he really understands how to play. But the way he has rebounded the basketball, moving up from the Summit League, that was probably the one skill is, will it transfer up a level? And it certainly has. He's got as many double doubles almost as anybody that's ever played for me. I think, Doug and Ryan Hawkins have one more than he has. And, we still got quite a bit of season left. So he's been incredible. He's been really a seamless fit with those other four guys.
Greg, this team's a little different than some of your others in terms of shooting the ball from three. Like, you've had some teams that could drill it. Like, every dude could make threes. This team's more athletic. Obviously Shireman's been awesome as far as shooting the ball from deep. How different has this been for you to coach this group because of that?
I think we're capable shooters, Jeff. We shot 30% from the 3-point line last year. You insert Shireman, whose percentages are very similar to Hawkins, and we're shooting 35% this year. So, Trey Alexander's made a huge jump. Nembhard, especially lately, is really shooting it well. Kaluma made a couple big threes against Xavier last week. Kalkbrenner's going to shoot one every now and again. And, Farabello's probably the guy off the bench that I thought would shoot it a little bit better. And I still think it's there. He shot it well in practice. So I think the threat of the 3-point shot has still opened up the floor for us. And, the reality of it is, if we're going to finish this season off strong, we're going to have to make some shots. And, but fortunately, we're defending well enough in the game at Georgetown where your defense can win you a game when the offense isn't there.
Coach, we've talked several times over the past couple of seasons, point guard play, hit the button for Jeff Goodman, point guard play. You have two guys. And I thought the development of Trey Alexander when Nembhard got hurt last year, I thought that really helped him gain some confidence, and it fed some into this season. How nice is it to have both of those guys just to be able to fall back on? I mean, so much ball handling to run your fast-paced and early looks in the offense type of deal.
Yeah, any of those guys can lead the break, and Kaluma's included in that. And then we can use all three of them at a ball screen, Alexander, Nembhard, and Shireman. So now, you move the pieces around on who has to tag and where your help is. Because then, Alexander and Shireman, we don't take a lot of mid-range shots, but we're top 5 or 6 in the country and making in the percentage of shots that we make from that distance, because those two are so good at it. But, to your point, Trey was terrific last year when R2 went down, and he carried that momentum into the offseason. He worked extremely hard. He added some muscle to his body, and, the 28% 3-point shooter last year, and he's 40% this year. So I think his work speaks for itself. And then, defensively, we generally put him on the other team's toughest player. So Trey's done a lot for us. He's had to adjust to be that defensive stopper, and I think his offense has caught up as he's gotten accustomed to that. But he's been absolutely terrific for us.
And Kalkbrenner, defensively, we talked about his gravity on offense. To have that guy back in the lineup And to have that many athletic guards, you alluded to Trey Alexander. I think Arthur Kaluma's terrific, but now you have a lot of different switchable bodies 1 through 4, and they got to run into the big fella behind you. I think he could be Defensive Player of the Year again if people are willing to take in consideration that he did miss some games. But Big East Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's entirely possible. Wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. And I think, opposing coaches understand what he does for our defense. And he's unique in the sense that he's, I'd like to say that I taught him all this stuff, but I didn't. A lot of it, is his innate ability to understand when to leave the floor, to block a shot, when to stay on the floor, when to just body up and make it a difficult shot. And he doesn't foul. I mean, I think last year, one time he got to 4 fouls in 30 some games, which is incredible as many times as people are coming at him. And he hasn't been to 4 fouls yet this year. So, he does a great job. He's very intellectual with the way he plays. Obviously we ask a lot out of him, but he's really worked to prepare himself for that.
Cleans up a lot of mistakes.
Yes, he does.
All right. Which is more surprising? If I had told you that Marquette would be 10-2 in the league at this point, or Ed Cooley would have Providence at 9-3, which would you be more surprised about if I had said that in the preseason?
I was talking to Cooley this morning, and he said he was going recruiting. I'm like, recruiting? What are you going recruiting for? You're just going to bring 8 more transfers.
Yes.
Roll it back. So why are you going recruiting? You got a week between games. I mean, sit by your pool, do whatever you're going to do. I'm not surprised what Ed has done. He did it last year with a group that was relatively new, and he's really pushed all the right buttons with this group. When you see where they were in November and where they are now, it's been incredible. But I think what Chalk has done with what they lost, I don't know that anybody saw this coming, but obviously they're playing great on both ends of the floor. I just got done rewatching their Villanova game from yesterday, and nobody forces Villanova into 18 turnovers. And they're very active defensively in the quarter court. It gives you some different looks, and then Tyler Koenig's having an MVP type of a year. Last year you tried to make him a scorer and take away his ability to pass, and now this year he's really added the 3-point shot and the ability to score. And as soon as you leave your feet and make a mistake, he's going to make you pay for with the pass. So I probably would say what the job that Chalk has done has probably been one of the best in the league.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you joining us here on After Dark. Go back to your dungeon or wherever you are and continue watching tape. We're glad we gave you a little bit of a hiatus from that.
Great to catch up, guys.
You too. There he is. Creighton head coach Greg McDermott. Blue Jays back on track now. What do you think, Tio, as far as when you're looking now at Creighton within the Big East? Obviously, you got Xavier in first, tied with Marquette. Providence is right behind them. But Creighton, a team that a lot of people, myself included, had ranked in the top 10 in the preseason with a healthy Kalkbrenner. Can they win this league?
Being that they've only lost 3, it's entirely possible. And there's just so much offensive firepower on this team. I mean, between Trey Alexander and Arthur Kaluma and Baylor Shireman, and Coach said it exactly right. And of course he would, it's his player, but like his ability to impact so many different pieces of the game. I thought when they lost Ryan Hawkins, that made me a little nervous initially, because I was like, man, Nimbard's still a little young. Alexander's still a little young. Like, he was kind of their settle down guy. They don't need that guy anymore. And he can let those guys go. There's a lot of firepower. And when Kalkbrenner's healthy, they can get out in the passing lanes more. They can push out some catches a lot more in the quarter court. I haven't heard that phrase. I'm going to start using it. I really like it. To push out passes in the quarter court a little bit more defensively, and people are operating a lot further away from the basket. Kalkbrenner changes everything that they can do, and they're a tough out. It's going to be really difficult.
All right. When we come back next, Tyler Hansbrough is not going to be allowed to pick a North Carolina Tar Heel, but we're going to give you our mid-season All-American teams, Field of 68s, After Dark.
And your clip.
He looked like he was in a basement.
I thought he was in the arena. I couldn't tell completely. It looked like he was in the arena. All right.
Like
put up some
campus
curtains.
apartment.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
I forget who asked it, because again, the chat is moving like crazy, so it's kind of hard for me to catch it out. But if you had to pick right now, national champion, Big 12 from the Big 12, the Big East, or the field?
Big 12
Big East
and Big East or the field?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take the Big 12 and the Big East.
I agree with that. I take the Big 12 solely.
Big East doesn't do it for you, T?
Never have. I don't know why, but I respect them.
Yeah. Big
Not
12.
that much.
Yeah. Yeah, the Big 12, I mean, recent history says that they're going to be right there again. I don't know, man. But they just there's so many different styles in that league, and the
30
fact
seconds.
that they're just so good, so much good coaching. You could take that.
What else you got, Dagan?
Scrolling back here, trying to find something for you guys quickly.
All right, come on. Ask some questions, people. Get them ready for the afters. Anything for Tyler?
we can do it all day.
Yeah.
The whole show.
10 seconds.
Well,
All
we'll
right.
just get back.
We'll
into
wait.
it. We'll
We'll get it next break. I don't know if we can answer one that quick now. I'm watching
Here we go.
Dylan Brooks hit Mitchell in the you know what. All right, welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. Jeff Goodman here with Tyler Hansbrough and Terrence Oglesby. We're just joined by Creighton head coach Greg McDermott of the resurgent Creighton Blue Jays. And now it is time to give you not only our midseason All-American teams, which I've asked these two gentlemen to do, but also in light of Micah Shrewsbury's comments last night of Purdue, best team, best player, best coach, who would we take as a coach to build our program? Not necessarily who's going to win Coach of the Year this year, but who would we take to build our program around? Let's start with midseason All-Americans, number one. And Tyler, kick us off with one guy that's on your midseason All-American team and why.
Well, this guy is going to be on everyone's All-American team. It's Zach Edey. And the way he's turned around and played this year has been unbelievable. He's dominating everybody. He's totally changed his body. And I mean, the whole offense revolves around him. And, Purdue's been very consistent, 20-1, I think. But Zach Edey for sure.
That's a no-brainer. We agree with that, Tio? No-brainer.
Yeah, no-brainer. Player of the year, no-brainer. And it's crazy as it sounds, he just keeps getting better, which is
he's passing out of double teams better now. He's moving better defensively. He's honestly, I don't know who else I can compare to him in college basketball. Can you guys think of anybody who's been that physically dominant since Shaq? I don't know who it is.
The last big guy that I saw was that big. Tyler Hansbrough dunked on him.
Kenny George.
It's the last one I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, but Edey is. He could be the most improved player as well in college.
That's right.
Coming off of what I saw him playing the tournament last year, the way he is around the rim has been unbelievable. He actually has soft hands for his size. He is not a you know
why, Tyler?
Why?
Because he grew up playing baseball and he played first base.
Yeah,
I saw first
that.
Baseman, think about it, right? A first baseman, you better have soft hands. You better be. You're more agile. You're going down, and you're scooping balls. You're laying out for balls. That's him. That's honestly why he doesn't look nearly as plodding as a lot of 7'4" guys would look.
Yeah, he's been dominant. He also makes some highlight plays this year, which I don't think he was capable of last year. He's worked on his body as well. Very impressive to watch.
Theo, go ahead. Who do you got next?
Brandon Miller. I have Brandon Miller second on my list. He is just immensely talented and somebody who's just continued to improve his NBA stock for next year. They had a slip up against Oklahoma, but man, it just woke them up. And now this Alabama team once again is rolling, and he's the best player on arguably the second best team in the country. And his scoring outbursts have been awesome to watch. He's as smooth a player as we've seen in some time at the college level.
Tyler?
The eye test says Alabama's the best team, athletic, big. I have Brandon Miller on my list, and I tried to find a reason not to put him on there. For some odd reason, I just didn't want to do it. But you can't leave him off. Alabama has to have somebody on there. I think Brandon Miller's that guy. I think he's a go-to player. I think he can get you a bucket.
And you got to reward winning, like you said. I mean, you reward
100%.
Purdue and Alabama, right? Those have been the two best teams. To me, if it's close, you got to put one of those guys on. Brandon Miller, the only freshman we're probably going to have on this list as well. All right, I'm going to go next. I'm going to go Jalen Wilson at Kansas. I don't know how you have to have him on there. He's a guy, he is a walking bucket right now. He has been carrying Kansas for weeks. You give him the ball, he could score from all three levels. He rebounds. He can facilitate a little bit too. But, again, the primary reason why Kansas has not taken a major step back is because of Jalen Wilson. Any arguments there, boys?
None for me. He's been impressive. Kansas, at one point, I thought was playing the best team in the country. I mean, I felt like they were the best team in the country. Jalen Wilson got to be on there.
It's been awesome to see him improve his perimeter shot too.
Yep.
For him to really shoot the ball from the perimeter, be a go-to guy. And the good thing for him this year is that without Kansas playing with a true five, like it allows him to use his athleticism even more whenever he's attacking the rim. He's been impressive all year. I think these last two are going to differ a little bit. I feel like everybody, those top three, everybody's going to be pretty consensus on.
Yep.
I'm interested to see what you guys got.
All right. Go ahead, Tyler.
Marcus Noel.
Ooh.
I put him on there. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the country. New York City guy. Competes. He has Kansas State. He is their leader. I love the way he's been going. So I put him on there.
I like it. I like it. I really like it. I agree. And you could easily put him on there. I did not put him on there. He would be on my second team. But, man, he is tough. Look at what he's done. He and Keontae Johnson have done at Kansas State. I have no issue with you putting him on the first team. Tio, what do you got?
I did not have him. But he has been awesome and arguably the turnaround story of the season at Kansas State. He's been awesome. I didn't go there. I went another point guard. I went with we talked to McDermott about him, Tyler Kolek. I have him first team All-American. You know why? Because everything revolves around Kolek in that offense. And he was more of a, pass first guy last year. He's improved his shooting. He's the key, the injury or whatever it is to that offense, to the number one offense in college basketball, according to Ken Palm's metrics. He's having a special season. Marquette's having a special season, and he's the reason. I mean, he has been lights out all year long.
So I'm putting Brandon Miller at the 2, by the way, just in case we're wondering. I'm going to put him at the 2, and I'm putting Jalen Wilson at the 3, even though he's really a 4. But I got to get Trace Jackson-Davis on the team. The way he's played over the last month, he's been honestly a beast. Every game it feels like he's going for 20 and 20, and he's carrying that Indiana team, and they've been winning. So to me, and honestly, I wanted to see that kind of killer out of Trace for a while, and he's shown it to me. So I'm going Trace Jackson-Davis on there for my 4th. I know I need a guard for my 5th because I don't have a guard right now, like a true guard. So I'm gonna pick up a 5th guy here, but I'm gonna let you guys go first. Tyler, round out your team.
Well, I'm gonna round it out with Drew Timme, and from Gonzaga, I think he's played well. He's been very consistent. I think sometimes we get lost in that, and it gets a little boring when you see it for 4 years. But I think he's doing a great job.
Who does that sound like? Been
in college longer than me.
Did anybody say that about you, that it got a little boring watching you for 4 years?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But no, I got him to round out my list, and it was between him and Trace, to be honest. And I went with Drew.
No, I got no problem with that one.
Yeah,
dude,
no, of course not. Yeah, what he's done over the course of the last, 2-3 weeks has been awesome. He is so dominant. It's unbelievable. I went a little off the radar here, and it's a different one, but Jalen Pickett at Penn State.
Me too. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Man, 17 and a half, 7.8 boards, 7 assists on a team that plays different than their entire conference. He is the ultimate playmaker, an excellent passer, and he is he's a Swiss Army knife. He can guard so many positions. He's so strong. Jalen Pickett has Penn State at 14-8 and has highlighted this turnaround for Shrewsbury. He has been really good.
And he's a man. You know, you can post him. He's not a great shooter, but, you know, he can make some shots. And like you said, he rebounds his position. Big, strong, tough, experienced. Really good to see him do what he's done and get the recognition. And he's put Penn State in a position where now they could be an NCAA tournament team. So there you go. You know, Edey for sure, Jalen Wilson for sure, Brandon Miller for sure. And then we got some other dudes on there that we had a little differing opinions. But again, all players who have had really, really good years. A coach who has had a great year is Matt Painter. Michael Shrewsbury gave him some props last night after Purdue's win over Penn State. Shrewsbury has coached with him on 2 different occasions as an assistant, so he knows Paint well. And he said he's the best coach in the country. So I ask you guys, who would you start your program with? You know, you're an athletic director. You can hire anybody. I'm giving you the opportunity to hire any coach in the country here to build your program. T.O., we'll start with you. Who you choosing and why?
Well, first of all, I want to say Matt Painter, the job he's done this year, I feel like it's been overlooked a little bit in the National Coach of the Year candidacy because of what Jerome Tang's done and what some of these other coaches have done. But, man, I thought on this, and to be honest with you, I'm still not entirely certain. I love Bill Self. I think he's awesome. He has the right personality to get along with the fan base, with the right personality to get along with the boosters, the administration, all that stuff. To me, Bill Self is A1 at this point. But if I'm going to go with a wild card, somebody who I think is up and coming and rising quickly, I wanted to grow with him. I was a young AD. I wanted to grow with him. I'd take a swing at Pat Kelsey because he's got a lot going for him. He's got the right energy. I know they've lost 2 in a row now, but he's got the right energy. He's big on marketing. He gets along with his players, and there's a different energy about it when you talk to him and how he wants to grow his program. That's somebody, if I was young and we're starting from scratch, I would consider Pat Kelsey.
Tyler?
Yeah, so I love the job that Matt Painter's done. And to me, I think he is a coach of the year this year. But there's another person out there that a lot of people aren't talking about that is getting overlooked. And I just want to throw Rodney Terry's done a great job for Texas and what they've been through. He's got them on top of the Big 12, doing a great job. But to answer your question, if I'm starting a program right now as an AD, I'm hiring Wes Miller. If you look at his somebody
wait.
I like it.
Hold
I
on.
like
Former
it. Keep going,
teammate.
team. Don't let him go.
All right. We need to get that out there first, Tyler. We full disclosure. Tyler's not the most objective human being when it comes to Wes Miller.
I like
one
it,
of my
T.
best friends, by the way. But I will say this: Coach K under 40, 215 wins. Wes Miller 217. I mean, that's pretty good company.
It is good.
And he has taken the UNCG team to the tournament, made them a tournament team. They gave Florida State a run, which Florida State they were a contender that year. But their team fights. I watched them play Houston over the weekend. They could have handed Houston an L. I mean, they were right there until the end. I think he has his team competing and playing hard. And that, to me, is what really a program is built on, is how consistently tough your team plays. And I like what he's done at UNC and the direction that Cincinnati's going. So it's a no-brainer. I go out and hire Wes Miller immediately.
All right. Painter from Shrewsbury, so I'm not picking him. Self from TO, I'm not picking him. Wes Miller, I might pick him in 10 years. I'm not picking him yet. I'm going with Scott Drew. I'm going with a guy who took the worst situation we've ever seen in college basketball history and turned them into a national champion. Okay, not only to do that, 15 years, last 15 years, he's gone to 10 NCAA tournaments. He's gone to 2 Elite Eights, 2 more Sweet 16s, in addition to the national title. He'll have him in contention again for Final Four this year, and he does it with the culture of positivity. He fits today's day and age, right? 30 years ago, I don't know if I would have picked Scott Drew. But right now, he knows how to connect with these kids. He is a relentless worker. And again, to me, what Scott Drew has done, if honestly, if you put the most impressive accomplishments ever in college basketball history, Scott Drew taking Baylor and winning a national title has to be up there. Brad Stevens taking Butler to 2 straight national title games has to be up there. Those are 2 of the most impressive that we've ever seen. What we saw that was impressive so far this year, 2 mid-major darlings, Florida Atlantic and Charleston, being in the top 25. When we come back next, we'll tell you why both are in major, major trouble to get into the big dance.
You're clear.
Wow, what a tease that was. Major trouble, yeah.
They are. They're
All
in
right.
trouble.
I like it. Grant wants to know, does Kansas State have a real chance to make the Final Four?
I don't know.
It's
I
so
don't think
hard
I'd
to
go
say
that
it
far.
when it's so hard to say it in a guy's first year.
Right.
But like you guys finish in the top 3 of the Big 12, you can make a run. Like I really believe that, and they have the talent to do it.
You know what
I
I worry
believe it.
about? A small guard in the NCAA. That he's 5'7". I saw him in person a couple of weeks ago, and I love Noel, but I'm just scared. He's so small. Now he's tough as shit, but like that scares me. There's small. There's Ty Lawson small, and then there's Noel small.
Yeah. Keontae adds a little size, though. I mean, I think he's a big guard, but you're right about that. I actually think they have a chance at the Final Four. I think they've been competing. I like the way Noel plays. So they had a chance, yes.
30.
Yeah,
They're good, man. They got length everywhere besides that point guard spot. Like Naquan Tomlin's really good. They've got some 5s that'll protect the rim a little bit. And what do you need in NCAA? I feel like you always need somebody that can go get you one. Like they would throw it to Tyler at the elbow and he'd find a way to get it up there at the rim. Like last season, you'd have, Agbaji who could
10
find
seconds.
you one. Keontae Johnson can do that for you. I feel like that would give them a shot.
There we go.
No doubt.
3, 2.
All right, welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. I'm Jeff Goodman. He's Tyler Hansbrough, and he's Terrence Oglesby. And again, you can watch us on Sirius XM. Well, you can listen to us on Sirius XM's channel 84. You can watch us on Field of 68's After Dark YouTube channel and Twitter. And in about 13 minutes, we'll have the afters where we drink a few cocktails and answer your questions. So make sure you put those in the YouTube chat. So the 2 mid-major darlings, Cinderella kind of stories of the year, have been Charleston, where I currently am, and Florida Atlantic was where I was 2 days ago. They both lost tonight. I think I'm bad luck, guys. I think I shouldn't.
It's
Scott
you.
Kelsey and Dusty May should not want me around anytime soon again. But Charleston they've lost 2 straight now. They lost to Hofstra at home, and now tonight lost at Drexel. Florida Atlantic, their loss at UAB, not nearly to me as catastrophic. Florida Atlantic's numbers are really good. They're in the top 20 in the net. You cannot say the same thing for Charleston. They're in the 60s right now. I think Charleston has to win probably their conference tournament at this point, the CAA tournament, to get in the NCAA tournament, where I think FAU still has a little bit breathing room. They can maybe afford one more loss. I think they could probably afford one more loss and still get to maybe the Conference USA finals and get in as an at-large. But I ask you guys, like, how much does it hurt now if we don't get either of those teams? I want more at-large mid-major teams. I think it's good for the game, good for the tournament, good for everything at this point. You guys are both high major guys. Agree or no?
I agree. And, you're talking to a guy who lost to George Mason freshman year. And so, they went to the Final Four. Anything can happen. But the thing about this is if you lose 2 in a row in a conference, for College of Charleston, that really puts them in trouble. And I think that's a major no-no if you want to get into the tournament for a conference like that. yeah, I would like to see more at-large bids, but also if they're going to do that, you've got to play a very tough schedule, before you start your conference.
I'm going to start referring to Ken Palm numbers because I have no freaking idea or clue about the net. And if Jeff, you can figure that out, you let me know, because I've seen teams lose by 10 and go up 5 spots. For the love of God, help me figure out this net. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That all being said, one of the problems with the Colonial that Charleston's playing, and I've done some work with the Colonial, I think it's a good league in the top half. The problem is the bottom half really brings their metrics down.
Yep.
And they had to bring some teams in this season that are going to take a couple of years to get up to the level of play of the teams that were already in that league. So it hurts their metrics. But if I'm picking, I would say two per some of these mid to high conferences. Like, for example, there's no reason for me to believe that the Southern Conference, Furman and Samford couldn't win a game. There's no reason for me to believe that. Both of those teams have offensive firepower. They play hard and they're well coached. So to put more of those guys in, I think is really beneficial, as opposed to putting in, I don't know, 4 Mountain West teams like they did last year, only to go 0-4. Like, spread that wealth out when it comes to these, mid plus conferences.
You know what you do? Here's what you do, guys. For the final 4 spots, the first 4 spots, what you do is you pair up. It's basically a play-in type deal, and you play. I mean, it can be the same thing it is now in a way. You play mids against highs, because everybody, that's always the battle anyway, right? That's always the who's better, right? The mids that don't play anybody, or the highs that go under 500 in their league. Play them against each other to get into the main field. Yeah. That's what they should be doing. I would watch that. I don't want to see 2 high majors that barely squeaked in. Clemson play West Virginia. No offense, T.O. But I don't want to see that in the first 4. And I don't want to see a SWAC team play a MEAC team that night. They won their league. They should be automatically in the main field of 64. Play the mids against the highs. I think that would add some intrigue. We'd all want to watch those, 4 games to get into the main field. So I don't understand why they can't figure that out.
So you would say both the tournament champion and the regular season champion would both get automatic bids? Is that kind of what you were saying?
I'm just saying at this point, what I would do is at least make the first 4 interesting and play them with the last 4 teams. Make them mids against highs. Give 4 mids a chance that are at large against 4 highs that are the last at larges. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Play them against.
I can see that. Yeah, I
I'm
can see that.
just on this. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
To me, it would be fun to watch. There would add more intrigue. To me, again, I've watched Charleston a couple of times. They're not overpowering talent-wise. Again, they lost to Carolina earlier in the year, the second game of the season. Then they reeled off 20 straight wins. FAU, I watched them practice the other day. They're a little more athletic than Charleston. They play in, I think Conference USA is a little bit better league than the CAA. They lost to a really talented UAB team that had Jelly Walker back tonight, and he's one of the most prolific scorers in the country. And now, you also think like Pat Kelsey and Dusty May, 2 guys that have gotten a lot of attention so far. I hope they can keep it up, because we need these rising star type coaches also from the mid-major ranks. There are a lot of high major openings, and I don't want to see these recirculated guys anymore. I want guys that are working their way up, that have grinded it, that have done, like FAU guys is a hard ass job. Like, people are going to compare FAU and Charleston, and they're going to put them in the same group. Charleston is the best job in its league in the CA, in great resources, everything in the league. The only thing they have in common is they both have the beach right near them, because FAU is the worst job maybe in the league other than FIU. Those jobs are brutal. No resources, no budget, facility needs upgrades, all that. So like what Dusty May is doing, Kelsey's doing an incredible job. Don't get me wrong in year 2. What Dusty May has done at FAU is insane, guys. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, think about their numbers too. They're top 40 in Kim Palm, despite and like you said, Conference USA is a better league than the Colonial, and I would say substantially so from a depth perspective. And I'm not trying to talk bad about the Colonial; it's just the way it is this year. But it's amazing what he's done. He's got some transfers in there, some guys that can really score, but it's hard. And the fact that they'll probably be okay if you look at their numbers and their metrics and everything. They'll be fine. Now they need to play well this last month. But they'll be fine. Charleston's the one I worry about. I feel like Charleston could surprise somebody because you know how shooting's coming from all over the floor. They have some size. FAU could do the same thing.
Yeah, Charleston took us to the wire too. And Terrence, how often are you on Kim Palm? I've never heard somebody just cite Kim Palm.
I got it pulled up right now.
That is unbelievable.
I got it pulled up right now. So as we're talking, I have it pulled up. Yeah.
All right. So you know what Saturday is, right, Tyler?
It's a big day.
What does that mean? Why is it such a big day? Because I'm going to the game. Is that why it's big?
Well, that too. You're going to be there with a lot of other celebrities. You know, they always try to get one, top tier. It's Duke week, and you know what happened last time Carolina went into Cameron. It was K's last game he'll ever coach in Cameron. We handed him an L. I think they brought back every former player and put them in a uniform or whatever. I don't know. They had a dress code that night. It was an amazing night for all Tar Heel fans out there, and it's something that I'll honestly always laugh at. The speeches after the game, they were amazing. The ceremony, I loved it all. There's only one thing better, is when we took them to the Final Four and handed them an L there. So I enjoyed both of those moments, but it is a big week for all Carolina fans. And, you know, it is a little different not having Kay or Coach Williams there. And as much trash talk as I give the Dukies, it doesn't feel right without Kay. And the reason I say that is because he plays that Darth Vader kind of role as kind of the mean guy, or you know what's up when there's a bad call, he's going to be right in the official's face. But as we're talking, reminiscing, I told Jeff.
Who does this mean more? When we come back in the afters, you're going to tell your favorite story. Okay. Cameron. But quickly, who has to win this game? Who has more pressure? I think it's Carolina.
I do think it's Carolina. And, I said the one good thing about the Pittsburgh loss is this pisses us off. I mean, this makes us hungry, refocused. That's what good teams do. So I like the thought of us going into Cameron hungry and ready to get a dub. So.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. It's no matter what the records are, it is the rivalry. It is a great environment. I'll be there Saturday at Cameron. We'll see you tomorrow on the Field of 68s After Dark. Thanks to me. Thanks to Tyler. Thanks to T.O. Thanks to McDermott. Thanks to Dagan. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're clear.
Also, I got to clarify, we're not back tomorrow. We're back on Saturday, but I'll let it slide for now, Goodman.
Oh, it's Friday tomorrow. My days are all screwed up.
Hey, I got your boy. I got Wes on Saturday, Tyler.
There you go.
Hey, you're going to see some of my old teammates there. Bobby Frazier, Marcus Ginyard. Yeah, go over there. I'll tell him to say what's up.
I saw him in Chicago this past summer.
Yeah.
So I love Bobby. Love Bobby.
Yeah, great dude.
Great dude. All right. We are in the afters. Make sure you give us any questions right now in the YouTube chat. Anything you got. But we're going to start with Tyler and his best story at Cameron. Give us your best story. I think I know what it is, but
it's my freshman year when we went into Cameron and handed him an L there. And the reason I love that is because, Carolina was fresh off a national championship. Sean May, Raymond Felton, that squad, they left. And our team, we didn't have a lot of expectations, but Duke was the team. JJ, Sheldon, senior night. And it was my first time in Cameron. Our freshman class, Danny Green, Marcus Ginyard, Bobby Frazier, myself, Mike Copeland, we go over there, and it was a big win for us. And we were a team that, we fought for everything. And so to beat the number one team in the country in Cameron on their senior night was special for us.
Hey T, whenever you caught quite an elbow from Gerald Henderson. And I got to ask you about this, and I'm not going to ask you about the elbow because it may have
Well,
been
it's
intentional,
dirty.
maybe.
I mean, it's no reason to argue. I mean, even Gerald told me that. We're pretty cool, but yeah.
Yeah. It was what it was. It was what it was. Did you go over the side and be like, "Does this look awesome?" I felt like I read you. I felt like I read your lips, and it was something like, "Is this awesome?" Or is this like?
No, I was actually pretty pissed off.
Yeah,
I think
so.
I think I was going to go after DeMarcus Nelson, and looking back, that would have been the wrong thing to do because obviously he didn't hit me. But I was pretty confused as to what had happened. I knew I was fouled hard. I just didn't know what happened.
You didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, I was confused. Like, who in the hell did this?
You were like a boxer? Like was it like a boxer got hit with like a haymaker and had no idea what happened?
You know, the crazy part, there wasn't that much pain. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it looked bad. There was a ton of blood and everything, which made it, you know, to me, obviously, I didn't think my nose was even broken until I took an X-ray. But yeah, I didn't know what happened until I watched the replay.
Your nose still not right from that hit?
It's really not. It's been like broken 3 times, but I'm not sure that one or the other ones.
Dude, the way you played, you're going to get some broken noses.
No,
Like
yeah,
if you
sure.
were like me, like I wasn't going inside the 3-point line. Like my nose is still good. I think I've broken it a couple of times, but not to where it's like moved. But
Yeah, I haven't had to have surgery, but they've recommended it. But I've heard people that have had that surgery, it just doesn't turn out right.
Oh, really?
Hey,
Yeah.
Tyler, you know what we should do next year? I think what we should do is we should get a tent and we should go out there and sleep out, all of us.
Oh my
Get a
God.
tent, a big ass tent, and a Field of 68 tent, and we sleep out the night before the Duke Carolina game with Cameron.
Goodman, I'm 30. I'll be 35 years old at that point in my life.
I'm way older than that, and I'll do it. All right.
Hey.
I'm way older than that. Now I'm not doing a Saturday. Tomorrow night it's like 35 degrees. But last year it was like, I think it was like 70. I was going around drinking. They were giving me drinks as I was doing TV hits.
There you go. That's not
So,
terrible.
Listen,
I've been camping once, and there's a reason it's only happened once. But I don't know. I mean, maybe talking. I don't know.
it'd be fun.
You
I
talk
got to
into
admit,
it.
it would be fun.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got, Dagan?
All right, we had this chat. This was the first question asked. I can't scroll all the way back, so I may screw the question up, but I think I remember it well enough. When you get into the NCAA tournament, would you rather be a number 1 seed that has to play in a regional? So, for instance, say you're Arizona, right? But you get stuck in the East Regional, or would you rather be the 2 seed in the West Regional?
That's a good question.
Tyler, do you ever have that kind of deal?
I can't remember, but to me, it's overanalyzing the situation. To win a national championship, which is the goal, you're going to have to go through teams. And to sit here and worry about the bracket on down the road, to me, you focus on the game you have in front of you. But if I were to pick, I'd like to stay within the region, less travel. Time change is a big deal. I think your sleep quality plays a factor. All that plays an issue. So I want to take the 2 seed and stay close to home. Fan base.
Yeah, I agree. And the only frame of reference I have there is we got bounced in the first round both years I was playing. But when we went to the Sweet 16, I was on Brownell's staff a few years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It doesn't matter. When we went out to San Diego for the first 2 rounds. Flew home. It's a 4.5-hour flight. Landed in Clemson. You're there for basically a day and a half. We got to get up and we got to get back over to well, it was where I saw you. I saw you, Jeff. It was at Omaha.
Yeah.
So it was like that was a lot of hours on the plane for a lot of big dudes to try to like limber up. I'd prefer to stay regional if it were me.
Yeah, and you got the crowd. I mean, not
Yeah,
everybody's
that helps.
Carolina or Kentucky, or, and travels also. So you rather have your, close to home where you get your home court advantage to some degree.
Yeah.
Dagan?
Next one. T.O. Ken Palmer's a fraud's on your case tonight. He wants to know why Kentucky is higher than Providence in the net. And I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be.
Because it makes no sense.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Not even the people at the NCAA know. They're just throwing darts at a board. It's just throwing darts at this point. Well, I guess I'll move him up. He'll move him. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody knows.
Yeah, no, I mean, part of the problem is Providence doesn't win games by enough points. That's
That's insane to me.
Is it because they're
But
is
it's
it because
true.
they're lucky, Jeff?
They are lucky. They are lucky, and you can go to our shop. What is it? Field of 68 shop.
Field of 68 shop, link in the description.
Thank you. Thank
Chatters.
you very much, Dagan. I appreciate it.
I've done this
And
once or
get
twice.
The Providence shirt, the lucky Clover shirt that all Providence fans should have, because it pretty much describes the last year and a half of your lives. What else we got there?
Boom. All right, fair enough. Brad P wants to know if Brad Underwood, shout out our other producer Trevor, if Brad Underwood will make it to the Sweet 16 this year.
They got a shot. Like, they got a shot. They get as good a shot as almost anybody. The thing, and I said this the other night, and our producer Trevor didn't like me for saying it, and I don't know if you agree with this, Theo. I just don't know without like a true point guard. I kind of worry about him, right? Like, Epps is good, but I think he's more of a 2. Shannon initiating offense scares me a little bit.
Yeah, he wants to
like
shoot it.
him. I just kind of, I don't know. Matchups with them.
I think their roster fits the profile of what you would like to have for the NCAA tournament more so than any other Big Ten team. Sans Purdue, just because they're big, they're switchable, they have a lot of lineup versatility. And Coleman Hawkins has started to play well against teams that aren't directional schools. Isn't that what Hummel said?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's starting to play good consistently, and they have a lot of pieces. There's no reason they shouldn't, and they really defend. That obviously helps. So it's possible.
What else we got?
David wants to know what's up with leaving Tubelis off of your midseason All-Americans. He does have 35 points right now against Oregon.
He's awesome. I feel bad. You just can't put everybody on there. It's so hard because, again, we're talking about so many good players, and I'm sure we all had Tubelis in the equation.
Yep.
And rightfully, like, he could have been on there. I think part of the problem that, honestly, and I went to Arizona, but I'm an East Coast guy. We're all East Coast guys. I just think it is harder because Arizona is playing late at night a lot of times, and the Pac-12 stinks other than a few teams. There's a couple teams that are good, but there's a lot of crappy teams, right? I mean, look, Cal, Stanford stink. Oregon State stinks. There's some bad teams in the Pac-12 right now. Washington, not very good. Washington State struggling. They don't have guards. So I think that's the hard part with Tubelis right now. We're not watching him as much as we're watching some of these other guys, period.
Yep.
Boom. Like it. Next one, David Bentley, our guy. Who's the next assistant to be a head coach without any head coaching experience? I.e. Tommy Lloyd, Jerome Tang.
I mean, I got the guy. I got the guy who it should be.
Who's that?
Kellen Sampson. Kelvin's son. He's going to be the next coach at Houston. But to be honest, why not go get something else? Like, here's the spot for Kellen. A couple. I'll give you a couple if they open. One's Georgia Tech, if it opens. The other could be Wichita State, if it opens. Those are 2 places I could see Kellen being terrific at. But to me, that's the next assistant coach that I'm plucking, because Tommy Lloyd, Jerome Tang have kind of made it cool for high majors to go get an assistant coach. And I think Kellen is ready. I've known him since, I think he was a GA at Oklahoma with Jeff Capel. That's when I first met him. He's really good, really good.
Justin Gainey at Tennessee too.
Yep.
I think he's really good. Yep.
Before I get to the next question, chat, we have 260 people watching, only 34 likes. Let's get that like let's get that like count up a little bit. Yeah. Another coaching question here from Michael. He wants to know if Matt Painter or Nate Oates called you tomorrow and offered you the top assistant job, where are you going?
Painter or Nate?
Yep. So Purdue or Alabama?
I got an easy answer for this. And you guys tell me if you're wrong. The easy answer is I'm going for Nate because I don't want to be in those 3-hour practices of Painter. That's it. It's simple for me. It's absolutely simple. And I think Nate's a little crazier, so he'd be a little more entertaining as well. But I don't want to sit in those 3-hour practices. Actually, I don't think Paint does 3-hour practices anymore, so that's probably not fair to him.
Hey, man, I'll never forget. We were playing Purdue in the ACC Big Ten Challenge my freshman year, And I always like to go and shoot 8:30, 9 o'clock at night the night before to where I could have the gym on my own. Purdue was practicing, and they weren't just kind of practicing. Like, they were going at it the day before a game where they were going to get pressed for 40 minutes, and they were going nuts down there, and they wouldn't leave the gym. Like, I was a little bit shocked that they were going. So I think that was Paint's either first or second year there. And he was setting the tone. Like, he was going at it. If I'm from the South, Alabama would be easier for me. And yeah, I think that would probably just for that. That has nothing to do with coaching. They're both terrific.
Well, for me, it was Painter, no question, until I heard about the 3-hour practices. I do like what Painter's done, partly because he's a big man's coach, and I think he throws the ball inside. Obviously, he's had some pretty good bigs.
You'd be able to shoot threes at Alabama, Tyler. Nate would only allow you, like, you'd be shooting, really launching them.
They play more of a similar style to what you guys played at Carolina than Painter does.
Yeah, but they're both great coaches. But I just like the job Painter's done, and I think he's brought on those freshmen. They move without the ball extremely well. Not a lot of coaches teach that. It just seems like he's one of these coaches that isn't hemorrhaging threes up at any given chance. He's actually running the offense through the bigs, and I respect it and love it.
Dagan?
Will wants to know, can Arkansas do what they did last year and finish the season strong?
Hell no. Unless if Nick Smith miraculously comes back tomorrow, and he better come back soon, because what do we have? February 3rd now? Today's the 3rd. I don't see it. I just don't see it at this point. I think they're going to be fighting for their lives, hanging on for like a 10 seed to get in the NCAA tournament. You guys agree or disagree with that?
Too many injuries. The Brazil kid went out. He was a major factor. Injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think it's feasible.
Man, Brazil was good too.
Yeah,
that was tough. That was a tough loss.
Those are 2 first rounders, maybe lottery picks. If Brazil kept shooting the ball like he did, he could have been a lottery pick this year. And Nick Smith, we know, is going to be a top 5-ish pick.
The only thing is, if Nick Smith comes back, they're guarding. Like, that team is guarding. He would give them a little bit more offensive firepower, which they haven't really had consistently.
It's just hard to put him back in. It's not like he's played 15 games. He's played 3 games.
Right.
So it's like starting over, and he's a freshman. He's not a senior who played 3 games. He's a freshman. Like, that's just a lot to ask of a kid to come back in February and acclimate into a team that's been playing together for a while. And again, it's February 3rd. I just don't see it. No way.
The beds are comfortable at Rich Paul's Lake House, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. Dagan?
All right, we all assume that the Georgetown job will be open. Well, I shouldn't say all. Most people assume the Georgetown job will be open this season. Who are you going after if you're Georgetown?
Who am I going after? I would say, I've said this over and over and over. I know everybody's going to kill me for it again. Blank check to Ed Cooley. Number one thing, blank check. He's not going to take it. He's going to look at it. He's going to think about it, but he's not going to take it because he can't leave Providence for Georgetown. We know that.
Ed Cooley's burner in the chat said it's not him. He's not going.
He's not going. I agree. I'm agreeing with that. I'm just saying you might as well try. Number 2, Rick Pitino. I know he's 70. I get it. But what Rick Pitino will do is get Georgetown back to credibility, respectability, so that in 3 years, when Rick retires, you're in a better spot to find the long-term answer. He's the short-term fix because he can coach his ass off. And with a portal, he'll get players. I think there's a lot of pressure from Georgetown to hire Pitino. I just don't know if they will do it. You want some other names? I'll give you some other names. Micah Shrewsbury.
I was going to say that one. Shrewsbury. Yep. I like that one.
Jamie Dixon has had success at Pittsburgh for years. Yep. Again, not a sexy
he recruited
hire.
the DMV really well at Pitt.
Yep. Not a sexy hire, but one that can get him back. Again, you're just looking at this point to get Georgetown back to where they're in the hunt for an NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Andy Enfield, an East Coast guy. Maybe he wants to leave the beach in LA. I wouldn't, but maybe he does. Chris Holtman, landing spot.
Hey, that one's intriguing.
Right?
At least to move. At least
And
to move.
here's the
I don't think the Georgetown, but at least
here's the weird one. Here's the one that's outside the box a little bit. Does Mike Bray really want to retire?
Ooh.
Or would Mike Bray, who went to DeMatha, who's a Maryland guy, would he go to Georgetown? And is it the right hire? I don't know. But again, if he's reinvigorated, maybe.
Let me ask you.
Tyler's saying retire.
Well, I don't think he's a fit for Georgetown. What do you think about Rodney Terry?
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. In a hypothetical world, they finish out great in the Big 12, deep into the second weekend, Elite Eight-ish, and Texas decides to move on to somebody else.
No ties. No ties to the Northeast. I think you got to have somebody. All the people I've mentioned have some ties to the Northeast. I would even include Ryan Odom in that conversation, lower down the list, but he was at UMBC. They had the best win in college basketball history, upset-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I put him further down the list, but to me, you got to have somebody with Northeast ties. Rodney Terry has never been close to the Northeast. He's been a Texas, UTEP, Fresno, and was an assistant at Texas for a long time.
I do feel like Georgetown has a national recruiting ability, though.
They do.
They have cachet with recruits to where it's
but you
still
got to get
Georgetown.
bounce back guys now, though.
That's right. You're right.
You know what I mean? Right now, in order to get this thing back, I think you got to go portaling and really get some dudes that left the DMV, and like Kevin Willard did. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Willard got this thing going right away, at least to a point where they're in the hunt for that's all you would want at Georgetown. Get us in the hunt. And Rick Pitino will get him in the hunt quickly.
Yep.
Dagan?
That is it for me. I'll let you guys do your toast. But again, chat, let's get to 100 likes. 40 more likes here in the next, we got probably 2 minutes left. We can do it.
All right, let's go. 40 more likes for Dagan.
That's right, for me.
40 more.
Not for Goodman, because nobody will like
That's
the
right.
video if it's for Goodman.
No,
so.
nobody's going to like me. You know that.
All right, go ahead. You can do your
40 more
toast.
likes, and we start with. You want me to start, guys?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right. Toast of the night for me is going to go to Aaron Estrada.
Oh, good pick. Hofstra.
At Hofstra. I saw him play last week against Charleston. He was absolutely fantastic. He had 23 in the first half. He finished with 25, I think, that night. And it was so impressive in the second half because most guys who had 23 in the first half would be shot hunting, and he didn't. All he did was facilitate, controlled the game. They ended up winning at Charleston. And then tonight, they play Towson at home. Could be a little bit of a letdown game after the Charleston win. And Estrada goes for 27 and 8 and played all 40 minutes. Remember, he started his career at St. Peter's, transferred to Oregon, bounced back to Hofstra, and has been awesome. So, Aaron Estrada, congrats, man.
What are you sipping on over there, T?
It's a little bourbon.
There you go.
It's the only good thing about Kentucky. The whiskey.
There's the quote of the show. The only good thing about Kentucky. Oh, man.
Go ahead, T.
You want me to do my toast? I'm going to go to
Yes.
Hunter Dickinson, and I think he had a great game, dominated the second half, didn't get off to a good start. He's had an up and down season and, got a good quality win, Northwestern. So I'm going to give him a toast. I know he's taking a lot of heat too.
Yep. That's a good one. Well, the only thing with Hunter, if I were him, the only do-over I would have made was the podcast.
100%. And, I said that, and that's what I meant by taking heat.
Well, it's hard. I mean, especially a Barstool podcast, because they're just they're trying to get you to say crazy shit. That's all they want to do. And as a college player, you really want to be a little bit careful. Like Tyler, you could say some of this stuff now. If you had said if you had done a pod when you were in college and the things you were capable of saying, right? You could have been in trouble.
Yeah. And I was a very shy kid in college. So
Right.
I was on guard for that reason. I mean, that's ammo for the other team. I mean, that was it to me, it was taken out of context because it was on Barstool.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then too, when Tyler and I were playing, that's right when Facebook and everything and catfishing was starting to become a thing. Wasn't there a quarterback at Wake Forest a few years ago? Like he ended up sending some pictures to what he thought was a
Oh
girl,
man,
and then he ends up with his manhood plastered all over a student section of another school. I can't remember if that's
I'm
exact,
actually
but
surprised there's not more of that's happened, to be
yeah,
honest. Shocking, right?
shocking.
Yeah.
But that's right when everything was starting. So I was always on guard.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there was a whole lot to hide anyway, but you have to be, you have to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
And Hunter decided to put all of his stuff out on Front Street like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I just, I like it in a way. I like that you're able to do it and have fun with it. But I also feel like there's a place and a time for it. And the guys that are doing it with him, again, aren't trying to help and protect him. They're just trying to get him to say some crazy shit. And that's not cool. That's not cool.
The guy who I think is a good, like the Kerr kid from Arizona, does it well when he plays.
Yes.
And then on a podcast, you're like, yeah, you got to know better than that.
Yep.
Have a little more savvy.
Yep. T.O., who do you got? Who you toasted to tonight?
Toast of the night. How about UAB?
Yeah.
Getting the win over Florida Atlantic. They got a tough game. They show up. They have talent, guys. But one guy in particular, I know Jelly Walker gets a lot of the praise and everything, but young man that I knew when I was at Clemson as a GA, Trey Jemison, who's a rim protector down there. He's had issues with injuries. His knees have had a hard time holding up, but he is a fantastic human being, and he will protect the rim with his life. So cheers to UAB. Good win. Andy Kennedy, the man, getting it done.
There you go. All right. Thanks to everybody for joining us every night. Appreciate it. We are off tonight, actually. I made that mistake before we signed off on Sirius, but we will see you Saturday night as usual in a unbelievably packed day of rivalries Saturday for college hoops. So thanks for joining us again. We'll see you Saturday.